Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We got the chance, no. We got the treat to see what can only be defined as a totally baller-ass match between ForGG and SuperNova, Mech versus Bio, utilizing a lot of the new units, and of course, trademark ForGG aggression. And now it's on to game number 2 on Cloud Kingdom.
Sounds good, sounds good. So spawning down to our southern position here as our blue Terran. He goes by the name of SuperNova.
And up in .dare top right, up in Red Town, USA. And by USA, I mean Korea. It is ForGG.
Doing pretty well. I've always been scared of SuperNova on this map, actually. He's always been able to employ siege tanks very, very strongly to exploit a lot of architecture, especially around the main. You know, you can actually siege up a lot of infrastructure if your opponent actually places it near to the ledges and stuff. So very, very scary thing to see from SuperNova, but I can only imagine that ForGG is also of the same ilk. He can do the same thing as well if you allow him to, so that's one dynamic in TVT that always really, really does scare me.
You know, I feel bad for following up your quite wise comment, Kalaris, with a total tangent, but I think I need to, because it's something I think the StarCraft community needs to hear about. There was a very famous GIF of a command center lifting and landing against a bunch of Vikings. And I'm desperately trying to find it. If someone would be so kind as to tweet it to me at Day9TV or to Kalaris at Kalaris, that would be great, because I'd love to retweet it, because I think it's an effective recap of what we saw on the right when I was screaming, land it, land it, land it, land it.
Yes, I actually would agree. That's pretty accurate. Unfortunately, ForGG having lost a command center to Vikings, and Vikings alone. It's important to note that. It's not something you see too often.
Well, either way, stepping back into this game land, we see SuperNova actually going for a very early second refinery. Yep, has to go Reaper. SuperNova's really setting himself up to do something along the lines of Reaper plus Fast Factory. So this is looking a lot like some sort of Reaper Widow Mine, likely Banshee opening coming out of SuperNova. ForGG is getting a reactor early again. Somewhat of a bold move.
Yeah, I guess he's, well, because it takes so damn long to build for eventually the Reaper to potentially pop on without any Marines in the base at all. So did he even get a Marine to begin with? Did he not? Oh yeah, okay, two. So he's technically okay if he can get them back in time for a Reaper.
Yeah.
And Reapers are actually more common on this map in Wings of Liberty than any other map. So for their purpose, they can be very, very effective here as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just like Reaper openings on this map, just straight up. I always think it's an excellent way to play, and here SuperNova stepping right in, doing a little damage at the back. He might kill off a worker, but look at that! Oh. ForGG just repairing in Supreme Boss mode. SuperNova will have to track down and find some spare SCVs, and the Marines actually seem to be nowhere in sight, only just now arriving, but SuperNova has plenty of time to work his way through that field, get a few extra shots off, seeing everything. This is so awesome. I feel like it's like a warp speed man with a fork, just kind of stabbing everything in the base.
You're right. It's actually, I think that, you know, looking at what we just saw, Reaper, there's, oh, well, you know, that kind of sucks for SuperNova, but it's almost, it's so pointless to even try and use your SCVs to chase down a Reaper at this point because of how fast they are. So you're better off just, you know, sitting back, repairing if it's a TVT, and, you know, bringing your Marines back to try and clean it up and get some flanks.
Well, with all the swapping said and done, it looks like SuperNova is going for Banshee. We haven't seen any Widow Mines yet there. Now the Widow Mines coming out. That's kind of a needed defensive tool. And ForGG, look at this, moving out again. You're going to know that this timing is actually designed to exploit exactly what SuperNova is doing. It's designed to hit a player who's delaying Widow Mine production, because now ForGG is able to step up. He has a weird 6 Marine timing push, and he's going to contain his opponent in the exact same way he did last game.
And I guess it works out really well because he has his reactor out that quickly, but he's going to push up here a little bit. Well, unfortunately for him, not at the best times. But actually, with the Hellions coupling up, this could work out really, really... Oh, just barely raising those supply depots, denying those Hellions from getting in, and even that Widow Mine firing off a shot there, killing one of them off really, really rapidly. Okay, so we have the Cloak on the way now for SuperNova. Looks like Banshees are on the way as well, even starting his second command center. But once again, ForGG placing his command center at the natural, so he is fine and dandy with that. And actually, ooh, Raven on the way for ForGG once again. So I'm liking the Raven incorporation very, very early on. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a really nice read by ForGG to do this push forward. He's either going to run into a big pack of Marines and know that his opponent is not going Banshee, or he's going to run into a small amount of Marines, do some pressure, and then now we know that ForGG can instantly go for that Viking without any sort of really punishment whatsoever. Picking off the Banshee. The Banshee didn't even really kill that much. A total of 6 workers killed for SuperNova, including that early Reaper. And look at this, ForGG just chilling outside the front.
Yep, but he will have to evacuate for a second, as now the Banshee does come along, second Banshee, in fact, to clear that out. But look, actually, SuperNova... Oh, wait, he started a Viking and then he's cancelled it and now he's gone for the medevac. So I assumed he was maybe going to try and deal with what ForGG was throwing at him early on by trying to equal some kind of early Viking count, but no, that is not the case. He's just going to go straight for that medevac and try and be very, very exploitative along the extremities of his opponent's base.
Yeah, this is looking excellent for ForGG. He has all the control that he needs. Going for the factories is a nice choice. Barracks wouldn't be quite as good for ForGG because, I mean, ForGG has created a situation where he is buying himself a lot of time. So, of course, going for mech is a good way to exploit that new bought time. SuperNova, of course, with his super mega ninja fast medevac, pulls back, throws down. Oh, that Widow Mine at the watchtower. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
That was awesome.
That really is. Widow Mines at Watchtowers is so cool, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Because they're always going to want to try and claim that location, but unfortunately, nope, not having any of that. SuperNova still moving out here with a small contingent of units, but a reasonably deadly contingent of units, I would say, with those 2 siege tanks.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can just build the siege tanks and they just are siege tanks. They're not big marauders. ForGG sieging up an impressive amount of Vikings for so early on in the game. Just does not want to abandon that air control at all. SuperNova does manage to get that drop off in the back, but this is a tough spot for ForGG. He has only 1 tank at the front, and with these tanks in the low ground for SuperNova, he can't really step too far forward. It is going to come all the way down to the Vikings.
Oh, this is SuperNova to a T, sieging up this location and doing a lot of damage, getting some good trades off. Even if he loses these siege tanks at this point, he's still doing a considerable amount of damage to his opponent's air dominance with those Vikings having to land. And even he saves the siege tanks and he can just waddle away for now. So really nice play there by SuperNova.
SuperNova's doing the sort of standard Terran versus Terran maneuver of trying to chip away at your opponent. Trying to do just a little bit of damage here and there, and SuperNova very interestingly actually going for mech himself. I think ForGG does have a slight edge so long as he continues this Viking production. God, look at that. Look how responsible ForGG is, just going for more and more and more and more medevacs.
Oh yeah, that's pretty impressive. I think that, well, actually, if he mixes...
Or excuse me, I said medevacs, I meant Vikings.
Yeah.
Damn it, Pilaris.
If he's mixing in those Vikings, you know, he's going to continue to have that air dominance. It's going to be extremely strong, and that matters more in mech versus mech than it will do when it comes to, well, I mean, obviously you can deny drops if your opponent's going bio, but mech versus mech with those siege tanks always want them Vikings out. Very, very strong.
Yeah, it's one of the weird things of about tanks. To win in tank versus tanks, you should build fewer tanks and get more Vikings. And of course that Banshee, no doubt we're going to be seeing that pop out of ForGG soon as well. ForGG spreading himself out, but SuperNova is starting to just get the big economic lead, and I'm really liking this position that he has set himself up in. That poke, again, was a time-buying maneuver to set himself up to go mech and to get that third, but ForGG's moving forward with the good old Death Force. 5 Vikings out for both players, Raven out for, excuse me, 5 Vikings out for ForGG, Raven out for both players, 6 tanks out for both players. It's all going to come down to the Viking control.
Really, sorry, excuse me. I don't know what just happened there, but it looks like ForGG now still moving down that right-hand side. It's going to be quite scary, actually. He could cross the T on these siege tanks effectively, making it for a very, very strategical military move. And it looks like he is going to whip it auto.
Oh, wow. With the auto turrets getting thrown down to absorb a little bit of tank fire, and ForGG sets himself up in an amazing position. Gosh, that's such a hard angle to come in at, and just nailed it. And we even have that scouting barrack from ForGG getting excellent vision control. There's no harassment incoming. It is all focused on this expansion.
Yeah, this is really the diverse dynamics that an early Raven like this can throw into play. You can do so much with it, and SuperNova does have his Raven. Oh, and it has actually a lot of energy here, throwing down PDD, soaking that damage up. Raven, yes he will.
Oh, and it looks like he's gonna have to pull back, and there's the Seeker missile.
Oh,
did manage to get out of range, so.
Oh, it fizzles out in such an anticlimactic way, but there you go, it's gone, it's gone.
Third command center only just now started for SuperNova. He's going to continue to just do these aggressive moves forward. He may have lost air dominance, but he's judging that he does have the lead on the ground. ForGG is the most aggressive mech I have ever seen. Holy cow.
He does it in Wings of Liberty as well, even just like 2 base transitioning on 3 base, and he does it so well, still pushing forwards with these siege tanks. He's going to kill off a lot of Hellions, as well as maybe even the siege tanks in the back, landing his Vikings, trying to give it the support. SuperNova is on the ropes, and ForGG is brutal here in Heart of the Swarm. Wow.
Jeez, he's just blasting right on forward using this aggressive mixture. SuperNova, by any normal measure, you would have described as in an amazing position. But ForGG found the exact timing, the exact angle he needed to break in there, and he did. Clean, easy peasy.
Just constantly rallying more units across the map here. He has to just break these 2 siege tanks that are left, or 2 or 3 siege tanks, and he drops the scan, trying to take them out. They are still doing a considerable amount of damage, but even with all of this, he's still limiting all of the income that SuperNova can have, whilst he could quite easily claim his 3rd behind this and be up 2 mining bases in comparison.
Gosh, ForGG just continuing to rally. Only has 4 unit producing structures going to town, but has managed to figure out a way to get infinity units out of those. There's the good game. ForGG takes the convincing 2-0.